My guy wants to give me money to buy kids gifts for their birthday and Christmas. Their birthdays are in December. It is still very difficult for me to accept money from him. I know it's my kids, but it makes me uncomfortable. We have been dating for 6 months. I got his son a birthday present, but I don't feel comfortable receiving from him. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was financially independent since I was 19 years and even had to support my father because my mother passed away. I supported him for years. My ex-husband always made less than me, and he was dependent on me as well. We were married for 12 years. It's difficult for me to accept money from a significant other, so he is getting disappointed that I refuse to take his money. Help. I know I'm being ridiculous, but I don't like the feeling of accepting money from him. Yeah. Yeah. One answer, one piece is just don't accept money from him then. I get it that he's getting disappointed that you're refusing to take his money. And okay, let him get disappointed. If that's a deal breaker, by the way, if that is an actual deal breaker that this guy breaks up with you because you can't accept money that he's trying to give you, um, that's something that's probably should be looked at. I don't think that would happen. Um, what I do get in your message, though, is that you are aware of a hyper independent orientation where you are used to giving, but you're not used to receiving. And the impact I imagine that might have on your relationship is that this man doesn't actually know how to impact you or contribute to your life. Sometimes men express love through giving money. And sometimes men also kind of take the easy way out of expressing love through giving money, where they just give it and they hope that that does something. What I'm understanding about this is it's not even really about the money for him. It seems like if we were just to take this out of the story that this is about the money, and we just look at the essence of what's happening here, is he's basically saying, let me love you and your kids. Let me in to support and love you and your kids, please. Can you? And you're saying no. And then he feels like, wow, like you're not able to let me in to this part of your life to be able to give. So then when I look at it that way, okay, now I'm learning with you here. I'm learning with you here because then when I look at it that way and I'm like, okay, wow, well, so if he broke up with you about that, maybe that's what he'd be breaking up with you about, is that he's not feeling like there's a place in your life for him to love you through the expression of money, right? Through the expression of support. It's like the most maybe liquid way that he can do it, right? And so what he might be coming up against is your guardedness and also feeling like you don't need him. And people want to feel needed. People don't want to feel completely depended on, but people do want to feel needed. We as humans will equate like when we feel needed by somebody, we feel loved by them, and we feel like we can love them. Obviously, that can grow into a cancer, into codependence if it goes too far. But I think that's a real dimension of love. So a question that I would throw back over the fence to you is, where else are you blocking people from loving you? Where else in your life are you keeping people at arm's length through your giving? Another question I would get curious about is, who do you think, and this is something to journal on, what do you think it would mean about you if you accepted his money? What would that mean? What are all the shadowy, shady things that it might mean about you? Does it mean you're weak? Does it mean you might get taken advantage of? Does it mean you owe him something? Um, does it mean that you're a taker? Does it mean that you're like not as equal? Right? And then really begin to look at and question, like, is any of that true? And here's the thing, what I'm also realizing is that I think that if you had a feeling that this guy was trying to take advantage of you or somehow indebt you with his money or like pay you off in some ways, I don't think that you would be asking or structuring the question in the way that you're structuring it, which is um, that help. I know I'm being ridiculous, but I don't like the feeling of accepting money from him. Um, the fact that you're structuring it this way, I think that you see that there's something within you that is um, there's a channel that's not open. And yes, one of your channels might be that it's important to be able to receive from people. Um, and listen, just because you receive some money from him, and when you bought his kid a gift and you can't let him buy you a gift, like there's something that's not reciprocal about that. So um, yeah, this seems like it is a pretty important area of work or development to look at. And maybe you give yourself permission to experiment just for a limited time. Maybe let this guy buy something for your kid one time and be with that. And if it's too excruciating later, um, then you can always say no next time. Um, but I would get really curious and I would experiment around this because I think this is pointing to something a lot bigger. And what I would also assume is that there's some defender archetype happening here. Remember, we talked about in the webinar. You may have seen this webinar or not that Jack and I created. We have a webinar where we talk about the discarded versus the defender. And the defender falls into some of these things where they're hyper independent and they can be givers, but they have a very hard time accepting um, things from people.
Hey, and if you enjoyed that video, I want to invite you to become part of our Becoming the One community. Becoming the One is our flagship program. It retails for $1,000 on my website. But today you can get access to the first module for only $1. We want to make it risk-free so that you can try out this program that's been changing so many women's lives in the realm of relationships, giving them a whole new operating system for how they relate to themselves and how they relate to the men that they desire. And so if you're single or you're in a complicated relationship situation and you're wanting some perspective, you're wanting to find your power, reclaim your voice, I want to encourage you to join this program. Try it out for a couple of weeks, see how you like it. We've had about 700 to 800 women through the program, massive amounts of reviews of people getting married, getting out of toxic relationships, and finally approaching being single with a sense of ease and trust and surrender and actually enjoying the process. So check it out. It's in the link below this video. You can click on it right now and check out the page, see if it's for you. And I look forward to seeing you in the members area. Thanks.